Before the roar of jet engines and the blinding speed of supersonic flight, there was a time when the sky was silent, a canvas of clouds and courage. It was 1914. The Great War had just begun, and above the trenches of Europe, a new kind of warrior was about to take flight. In the early months of World War I, aircraft were little more than wooden frames covered in canvas, fragile machines powered by tiny engines. They were used not for fighting, but for watching, spotting enemy troop movements, photographing trenches, and reporting from above. Pilots of that era were seen as adventurers, not killers. They would wave to each other mid-flight, even salute their enemy as they crossed paths. There was no hatred in the clouds, not yet, but down below, generals soon realized something. Those eyes in the sky were dangerous. If the enemy could see your movements, you lost the element of surprise. And so began a question that would forever change warfare. How do you stop an airplane? At first, pilots tried to answer that question with creativity and desperation. French and German aviators carried pistols, rifles, even bricks to throw at each other mid-air. Imagine it, two flimsy planes roaring just above the treetops. A French pilot leaning out of his cockpit with a revolver, firing through the wind, as the German observer answers with a carbine. It was chaotic, clumsy, and incredibly brave. Then, one day, in August 1914, a young British pilot named Lieutenant Norman Spratt made history. While flying over France, he encountered a German Taube aircraft. With no machine gun, he dived at the enemy, forcing the Taube down through sheer flying skill and nerve. It was one of the first recorded air victories in history, the moment the sky became a battlefield. By 1915, inventors on both sides were desperate to arm their aircraft properly. Bulky machine guns were mounted on wings or in awkward positions, often firing in every direction except where the pilot was looking. Then came a breakthrough, a deadly piece of German engineering known as the Fokker synchronization gear. It allowed a machine gun to fire through the propeller without hitting the blades, perfectly timed with the engine's rotation. Suddenly, one man, one plane, one gun could rule the skies. The first of these planes, the Fokker Eindecker, changed everything. Pilots like Max Immelmann and Oswald Bölke became heroes, their names whispered with awe and fear. They developed the first aerial tactics, teaching others how to dive, climb, and strike with precision. Dogfighting, the deadly ballet of air combat, was born. High above the mud and blood of the trenches, something remarkable happened. While soldiers below died in brutal anonymity, airmen became legends, knights of the air. They painted their planes with colors, symbols, even personal insignias, not to hide, but to be seen. They believed that even in war, there could be honor. When a pilot was shot down, his enemy might fly over the site and drop a wreath in respect. One German pilot, Bölke, wrote the Dicta Bölke, the first manual of aerial combat. It taught pilots to respect their opponents, attack from advantage, and never sacrifice discipline for glory. These principles still echo in Air Force training today. As 1916 arrived, the skies over Europe turned into deadly arenas. Entire squadrons clashed daily, a swirling chaos of roaring engines and gunfire, where survival depended on instinct and courage. Imagine the scene. A British Sopwith pup meets a German Albatros D2 above the Somme. The wind howls through open cockpits as tracer bullets streak like fireflies. The pilots twist, dive, and roll, engines screaming, each trying to get behind the other. It's over in seconds. One plane falls in flames. The other circles once in respect before heading home. These encounters, brief yet unforgettable, defined the spirit of early air combat. Personal, dangerous, and strangely noble. But glory came at a price. The average lifespan of a new pilot on the Western Front was just 11 days. Training was minimal, machines unreliable, and a single mistake meant a fiery death. Veterans recalled the haunting silence after a dogfight, when smoke drifted through the sky, and the victor realized he had just ended another young man's life. Some pilots wrote letters to the families of those they shot down. Others couldn't bear to speak of it at all. The romance of air combat faded as reality set in. By 1917, the war in the air had become as ruthless as the one in the trenches below. Still, out of that chaos emerged the world's first fighter aces, men who changed aviation forever. Bölke, Immelmann, Albert Ball, Georges Guynemer, and soon Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron himself. They transformed fragile flying machines into weapons of strategy and dominance. They laid the foundation for the modern Air Force, for the jet, for the missile, for the entire concept of controlling the skies. When the war ended in 1918, the world had lost millions, but gained a new understanding of flight. Those crude wooden planes had become symbols of innovation, courage, and sacrifice. They had turned the sky into the final frontier of warfare. The dogfights of World War I, those chaotic, daring duels, became the blueprint for every air battle that followed. From Spitfires over Britain to jets over Korea and beyond, every pilot in every war owes a debt to those who first fought with canvas wings and open hearts. They were not just soldiers. They were pioneers, dreamers who looked at the clouds and saw not just beauty but possibility. And though many never returned to Earth, their courage gave humanity wings.